Let's imagine you are a soldier, 20 years old, rifle in hand, standing on the edge of history, with no idea whether the next 72 hours will be your last. Let's imagine you are a soldier, not a hero in a film, not a name carved into marble, just a young man, maybe 19, maybe 22, from Ohio or Georgia or Nebraska. You've been in England for weeks. And now, in the early days of June 1944, someone has told you that the thing you've been training for, the thing you've tried not to think about too hard, is almost here. It is June 3rd, 1944, 72 hours before the landing. You are stationed somewhere along the southern coast of England, most likely in a sealed military camp, what the Army calls a marshalling area. You cannot leave. You cannot write letters that will be sent. You are, in the most literal sense, locked in. The world outside has no idea what is about to happen. You, unfortunately, do. The morning of June 3rd moves slowly. You wake before dawn because sleep doesn't really come anymore. Not properly. You eat powdered eggs and drink bad coffee in a mess tent crowded with men who all have the same expression, somewhere between determination and barely suppressed dread. Nobody talks about what's coming. Everyone is thinking about it. That silence between soldiers is its own kind of language. You've been assigned to the 1st Infantry Division, the big red one, or perhaps the 29th, or the 101st Airborne. The specifics of your unit shape everything: your gear, your beach, your odds. But right now, on June 3rd, the assignment feels abstract. What feels real is the weight of your M1 Garand, the roughness of your wool uniform, and the particular cold of an English Channel morning seeping through the tent canvas. By afternoon on June 3rd, officers gather the men for briefings. Maps come out, real maps, detailed ones, with beach names written in code. Yours might say Omaha or Utah. Sand tables have been built to model the terrain. You study the shape of the cliffs, the location of German gun emplacements, the distance from the water line to the first available cover. You memorize it all. You tell yourself that knowledge is protection. It isn't entirely, but it helps. The evening of June 3rd brings something unexpected, a little looseness. Someone has a deck of cards. Someone else, impossibly, has a harmonica. You play poker badly and lose $3 you don't particularly care about. You talk to a kid named Ray from Tennessee. He has a photograph of a girl and shows it to anyone who will look. You laugh at something that isn't really that funny. The laughter feels borrowed from a life that seems very far away. June 4th. You wake to rain. Not a soft English drizzle, real, heavy rain, with wind that snaps the tent lines taut. Word spreads quickly through camp. The operation has been postponed. General Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force, has looked at the weather reports and made the hardest of all military calls. Wait. For the men on the ground, this news lands like a stone dropped into still water. The waiting begins again. The postponement is, in some ways, worse than the order to go. You had prepared yourself psychologically for June 5th. You had reached a kind of numb readiness, the soldier's version of calm. Now that is unwound. Your mind, given another 24 hours of life, starts working against you. You think about your mother. You think about the boy from your hometown who came back from the Pacific missing an arm. You think about Omaha Beach and the distance between the boat and the sand. June 4th stretches unbearably. Equipment is checked, then checked again, then checked a third time, not because it needs checking, but because checking gives the hands something to do. You clean your rifle until it cannot possibly be cleaner. You repack your field pack. You have been given a life preserver belt, an inflatable tube you wear around your waist. The instructions say it will keep you afloat. You read them twice. You wonder if the man who wrote them ever stood on a landing craft. That night, the night of June 4th, almost no one sleeps. You lie in your bunk and listen to the rain. The man above you, a corporal named Frank from Philadelphia, whispers something to himself over and over. You don't ask what it is. It might be a prayer. It might be a name. Across the tent, Someone cries quietly for about 10 minutes, then stops. No one says anything about it. That, too, is a kind of respect. The night is very long. June 5th. The weather has shifted, not gone, but thin enough. Eisenhower makes the call. Tomorrow is the day. June 6th, 1944. H-hour for Omaha Beach is set for 6:30 in the morning. The news moves through camp with a strange electricity. This is it. The phrase travels from tent to tent, from man to man, like a current. You feel it land in your chest. Something tightens there that will not loosen again for a very long time. The afternoon of June 5th is consumed by final preparations. You are handed additional ammunition, more than you think you can carry. You are given anti-seasickness pills, though few of them will work. Your dog tags are checked one last time. Officers walk the lines with expressions carefully arranged into confidence. Some of them pull individual men aside, a quiet word, a hand on a shoulder. One sergeant tells you, simply, "Do your job and trust the men beside you." That is the whole of it. Evening falls on June 5th. The camp is quieter than it has ever been. Men write letters, real ones this time, to be held and mailed only if they don't come back. You write one. You choose your words carefully, the way you'd choose them for something permanent. You don't say, "I'm scared," though you are. You say something about being proud, something about home, something about the dog. You fold the letter and give it to a chaplain. He has a pile of them already. Around midnight, the order comes to move to the embarkation points. The convoy of trucks rolls through the dark English countryside in silence. You can see almost nothing. Blackout conditions. But you can feel the road beneath you, the cold air, the shoulder of the man next to you pressed against yours. Ray from Tennessee is here. He doesn't have the photograph anymore. He left it behind so it wouldn't get wet. That detail, for some reason, hits harder than almost anything else. The ships, troop transports and landing ship tanks, are enormous and already crowded. You file aboard and find your place below deck. The smell is fuel and metal, and the particular sourness of men who haven't slept properly in 3 days. The English Channel in June is not calm. The vessel moves with a slow, nauseating roll. The anti-seasickness pills are not working. Men begin to vomit. Others pray. A few sleep somehow. The channel is crossing you as much as you are crossing it. Dawn begins, barely. A gray-green light that reveals nothing warmly. You are transferred from the large transport to a smaller landing craft, an LCVP, the Higgins boat. It is 36 feet long and made of plywood and steel, and it carries 36 men. The ramp at the front is the last thing standing between you and the water. Standing in it, the sea slops over the sides. Men are soaked immediately. The coast of France is somewhere ahead, invisible in the haze. You can hear it, though. The sound builds slowly. Artillery from the Allied warships firing toward shore. The low drone of bombers overhead. The noise is beyond anything you've ever stood inside. It becomes physical, something you feel in your sternum, in your back teeth. The man to your left has his eyes closed. The man to your right is staring at the ramp. Ray is behind you. You don't turn around to look at him, but you know he's there. The thing you've tried not to think about is 30 seconds away. The ramp drops. The sound triples. Ahead of you is the beach, Omaha Beach, and it is nothing like the sand table. It is smoke and noise and water, and the terrible sound of machine gun fire coming from the bluffs above. Men in front of you step off the ramp, and some of them go down immediately, into water that is deeper than expected. You step off. The cold of the English Channel hits you like a wall. You hold your rifle above your head. You move forward. That is all there is. Forward. By the end of June 6, 1944, more than 156,000 Allied soldiers had landed on the beaches of Normandy. Approximately 4,400 of them did not survive the day. The 72 hours that preceded those first steps on the beach, the sealed camps, the bad coffee, The borrowed laughter, the letters left with chaplains, were not the prelude to history. They were history. Every hour of waiting was itself an act of courage, perhaps the most honest one, to know what is coming and go anyway. The ordinary soldier of June 1944 did not know he was making history. He knew he was cold and afraid, and that Ray from Tennessee was somewhere behind him, and that forward was the only direction left. That is the thing you've tried not to think about, and the thing that, in the end, every one of them faced. If this journey through those 72 hours meant something to you, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It's the best way to support more stories told this way.